Okay, so here's the deal. This is our secret space upstairs. It's not great. It's a little bit of a mess. And guess whose job it is to clean it up? That's right, you guessed it. I get the privilege of cleaning up this whole area. So I have to do it anyway, so I figured, why not invite you guys along the process? So here's what we're gonna do. To all my junior high and I guess anyone who really wants to listen, you can, but I'm going to be doing little videos as I clean. So you know what? I don't feel bored, and I feel like I have friends in this time, and you guys have something either boring or entertaining to watch. Honestly, not sure at this point, but hey, welcome to my world. Okay, the first bit I'm gonna tackle is the desk. Ignore the ring light. It looks so dark up here, so I had to do something to make sure I didn't look dead. So this is the desk that I'm gonna try to clean up while I talk to you. Okay, so first things first, we have to figure out what we want to use to organize it. So we use this jar for all the pens, and I'm gonna use this bucket for any knickknacks, and I'm going to get what should I get? Okay, a box for camp stuff, and I'm going to drag over the recycling box and the garbage, because goodness knows we have a ton of garbage. Right now I'm trying to figure out a spot to put you all, and I think I'm gonna try this cupboard right here, see if you fit. I don't know. Let's try it. Alrighty, so I got everything together, and we are gonna start to clean. Now you're probably wondering, Elaine, why are you doing this? So I was sitting, I was racking my brain trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So I Googled it, because that's always the best thing to do. When you don't know what to do, you Google it. In this case, I YouTubed, and I was like, the one thing I haven't taught is how to read the Bible. Also, I have instructions on how to set up soccer nets. If anyone wants these, available for a limited time only. Actually, no, I'm just gonna recycle them. Anyways, so I was like, the one thing I think is really important is learning how to read the Bible, obviously, and why is it important? And so I came across this really cool YouTube video, and it was by the Gospel Project, but it walks through like how to read the Bible. And let's be honest here, we all know that I have about the attention span of like, what's a really dumb animal, like a duck. I get distracted so easily, like, oh my goodness, so easily. And so any video that's over 5 minutes and it's not very entertaining, I just get like super distracted. And if any of y'all are out there kind of wackadoo like I am, you can relate. I just can't handle it. So, do you think we need these? It's a bunch of cutout circles. Mom, if we need these, I'm sorry I threw them out. Anyways, so I wanted to learn how to read the Bible, and this was one of the best resources I found. And so it's a bunch of animated videos, but not like cartoon animated, like cool animated. I don't know how to explain it. But they were really good, and they're really informative, helpful. So I'm going to steal a lot of their information and tell it to you guys. I'm going to link the videos in the description box below or above, somewhere. And I want you guys to go watch them. They're 5 minutes. They're really entertaining. They're really helpful. And I think you have the time. You're at home in quarantine. You can watch it. Anyways, so the first one that I'm going to kind of talk about, and I'll link it above, is what is the Bible? And you're like, Elaine, why would I care? Like, we know what the Bible is. It's a book. It's a book that God wrote to us while laying stamps. I know that, but like, what is the Bible? Like, it's a big book that we read every Sunday, or hopefully every day, or that we talk about and that we say is really important. But what are the actual chapters? What are the books? Why was it made? When was it made? All that kind of stuff. So, as you all know, it was, I found a family directory from 2018. Maybe I can get rid of this? Yeah, we're in 2020. Alright. As we all know, it's cut into two parts. So the Old Testament and the New Testament. And if you're like me, you have a favorite book in the New Testament, and maybe a couple favorite books, and you go and you read those books. And you ignore the really thick books in the Old Testament because they're really thick and they're kind of confusing and they don't really seem to pertain to your life. But yeah, they're part of the Bible, so we mention them every now and then. But one of the really cool things about the Bible is that it basically revolves, especially the first half, revolves around this one nation. And that nation is... That nation is Israel. Oh, you guys are so smart, man. I knew all that teaching you would pay off one day. So, yeah, it revolves around the nation called Israel. And God just picked a nation. He was like, he picked a man, he picked Abraham. He's like, this one. I want this one. And he decided to work through life, and kind of the center of God's plan would revolve around this nation. And, just before we go on, just want to clarify, it wasn't like this was then the perfect people. If you've read the Old Testament, like, we got some whack jobs going on, but God decided to use them. And the Old Testament is basically like a period of 1,000 years. So think like your great 10 greats, great-great-grandma, if they all live for 100 years. That's how far back, that's how long this span of time is. And it covers the history of this nation of Israel. Do we need these? I'll put them in the bucket. Okay? And so God is using these people. And it's cool. And the Old Testament is split up into 3 books. So I think of it as PPP. So like Toilet Paper Plus. So the Torah, the Prophets, and Prophetic. So the Torah is like the 5 laws. The first 5 books of the Bible. So like Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. Okay? So that's the 5 books, and that's the Torah. And then we have the prophets. So that's like the big scary books that don't really make a lot of sense when you first read them. Like no sense sometimes. It's like Isaiah, Jeremiah, those kind of ones. And then we have the poetic books. And I know you boys out there probably like Lucas and Kieran, if you're watching, please don't turn it off just because I said poetry. It's not like, oh, Romeo, how art thou, Romeo? Oh, I love you. No, that's not what we're talking about, okay? We're talking about like Psalms, and a lot of them are just like really powerful, like images and metaphors to describe your relationship with God, which, you know, I think is kind of cool. And just as much for guys as it is for girls. Just saying. Anyway, so that's kind of how God breaks up the Old Testament. And remember, it's being written by different authors, different times, different nations, different cultures and contexts. So going across these whole 1,000 years. And God is using these texts to speak to his people in different ways. And it all builds up, so like all these climatic events of like people messing up and God saying like be faithful, and people messing up and God being like I got you, like follow me, and it's a mess and horrible, and it leads up to this hope that a new leader would come. And we all know now, because we're, you know, hindsight 2020, we know now that that leader that they were talking about was Jesus. But at the time, the Old Testament is just building up to a new hope and a leader who's going to come and who's going to fix everything. And then the Old Testament ends. And there's like no finishing of the story. Like it reaches the climax and then it just stops. Like how would you feel if you're watching your favorite movie? Like you watch Avengers Endgame and like all the people are fighting, they're ready to go, and then it just stops and there's no fixing of it. Like Iron Man didn't come and snap. There's no stop. Not yet at least. And the people are sitting there and they're like, what in the world? So they're trying to stay faithful. And there's, I think, I could be wrong, but like 400 years where God doesn't say anything. It's like radio silence. It's like if you text a friend and they're like, hey, Elaine, do you want to hang out? And then I ignore them for 4,000 years or 400 years. And to anyone that I have done this to, I am so sorry. I promise I do not hate you. I just suck at texting and emailing. It's just, I'm horrible at it. Anyways, so it's radio silence for 400 years, and then there's someone who comes on the scene who claims that he is the fulfillment of this promise. He's the new leader. He's gonna carry on the story. He's gonna finish it off, and he's gonna bring restoration and fulfillment. Yada yada yada. But the thing is, he dies. But his followers, let's call them like Jesus followers for now, claims that he raised from the dead, and then it almost starts this like Jesus movement where they believe in Jesus and they're telling more people about him. These apostles are writing about Jesus and writing about what he did and writing about to all these different communities, and it starts a movement, and it's the fulfillment of that epic story that you see in the New Testament, in the Old Testament, and that's fulfilled in Jesus. And so you're probably like, okay, so we all know that. Why is it a big deal? Well, I am so glad you asked, because I'm going to tell you. See, it's a big deal because it's one story. It's one epic, cool, amazing story. And it all fits together. Like, think of it. Thousands of years are together. And it fits in one story. And it's all about God speaking to his people and God restoring a world. And God restoring humanity and bringing them to himself. And it's crazy because let me tell you, just real talk here for a second. I grew up in the church. Like, I was a pastor's kid. I knew the Bible. I knew the Bible stories. I knew about David. I knew about all these people. But I think part of me always kind of saw it as like stories disconnected. And it wasn't until I was 19 and I was out of high school that like I started to figure out that all of them fit together, and all of the stories was a huge history of God working in the people. And it wasn't just things you should know, but it's God using these messy people and these real events and these real things to answer the big questions that everyone has. Like, why am I here? Why is there pain? Why do I always mess up? Those things. And God used a history and a movement and this literature and this amazing book that's God breathed through like thousands of years in different languages and different cultures to speak to his people. Like, man, that's awesome. And so what is the Bible? It's real things that happen and real people who wrote it, but that still pertain to today, and that's God breathed, and it's amazing. And I saw all this information from this video, and I didn't do it justice. The video does a way better job of explaining it than I ever will. So I encourage you, go watch it. You have 5 minutes. I'm looking at you like Emmy and Kayla and Tia and Lucas. You guys got 5 minutes. Go watch it. It's a really good explanation. And this is just the jumping off part about what we actually think, the Bible is and how do we read it. And this is the very first thing. Now, I also want to say, this is the main videos I'm going to do. But if you guys want to see Q&As, if you want to see a testimony or maybe a video with me and Nathan talking about things we've learned in our relationship and things that you guys can take home with you, or maybe talking about post-secondary, let me know and I'll do a quick video about it. I'd love to do that. Anyways, I hope you guys are doing well. I want you to see what I've done so far to the desk. Look. Everything's like getting a little bit more organized. Not great, but it started there. And for all y'all at home, go organize your own desk and read your Bible. Bye.